or not. My name is Emily, and my life ended the day my parents announced we were moving. Not just across town, no, to a place called Willow Pines. It sounded like an air freshener, not a real town. We left the city, my friends, my favorite pizza place, for a house surrounded by actual trees. My dad called it a return to nature. I called it a one-way ticket to boredom. I protested, but my parents just smiled and said, "You'll love it, sweetie." Famous last words.
The moving truck rumbled down the winding road. Emily watched the city fade away. Leo tried to teach Buster the dog to play video games, and Sarah hummed along to the radio. They were driving straight into the middle of nowhere, a place where the Wi-Fi was probably powered by squirrels.
As we pulled into the driveway, I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. The house was big and old, very old. It was a two-story colonial with peeling paint and droopy green shutters. A massive oak tree loomed in the yard, casting a long, dark shadow.
Isn't it charming?
I just grunted. Charming wasn't the word I'd use. Spooky, definitely. Haunted, probably.
All right, team, let's get this show on the road.
Leo and Buster exploded out of the car. Emily stayed glued to her seat, watching her phone's last bars of signal fade away.
This was it. My new prison. Welcome to Willow Pines. I had a very, very bad feeling about this place. We started unloading boxes, and the house seemed to swallow them whole. The inside was even stranger than the outside. The floors creaked with every step, dust floated in the sunlight, and the air smelled like old paper and wilting flowers.
The sofa can go here and the bookshelf there.
She tried to make it feel like home, but it just felt wrong. My room was at the end of a long hallway with a window overlooking the creepy forest. I yanked the curtains shut. I dropped a box labeled Emily's Stuff, Fragile. Nothing inside was fragile, but it made Dad cringe. Small victories.
Downstairs, her parents argued with the movers. Leo ran around pretending to be an explorer. Buster wagged after him. Emily wandered the first floor. The kitchen was ancient. The dining room's chandelier was covered in cobwebs. This house had secrets. She could feel it in the cold drafts.
That's when I saw it. At the back of the hallway, under the stairs, a door. It was thick, dark, covered in scratches, and had a heavy iron latch. No doorknob. It looked like it belonged in a dungeon, not a house. I reached out and touched the cold wood. A strange feeling washed over me, fear and burning curiosity. What was behind this door? And why was it locked so tightly? I wasn't sure I wanted to find out. Hey, Dad, what's with the weird door?
Huh, I don't remember this on the blueprints. The realtor said there was a small basement, but this looks like a prison cell door.
Daniel tugged on the latch. It wouldn't budge. Locked tight, no key in sight.
That's odd. It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
Creepy was an understatement. The scratches looked like they were made by fingernails, long, desperate scratches. I leaned closer, peeking through a crack. All I saw was darkness. A cold draft seeped out, smelling of decay.
Maybe we should just leave it alone. We have the attic for storage.
For once, I agreed. That door radiated dread.
Nonsense. I'll get a crowbar tomorrow. We paid for a basement. We're going to use it.
My stomach twisted. The thought of opening that door filled me with panic.
Leo skidded to a stop beside them.
Whoa, is that where the monsters live? I wanted to say monsters weren't real, but looking at that door, I wasn't so sure. It felt like a gateway to somewhere awful, and my dad was planning to open it. This was not going to end well.
Just as Daniel announced his crowbar plan, a faint, rhythmic tapping came from the front porch.
Can I help you?
An old woman stood on the porch, hunched over a cane, eyes wide and fearful. She scanned the house, her gaze landing on the basement door.
I am Mrs. Gable. I live next door. I saw the moving truck. I had to come.
She looked like she'd seen a ghost.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Gable. I'm Tom, this is Sarah, and these are our kids, Emily and Leo.
Mrs. Gable didn't seem to notice. Her entire focus was on the basement door.
You haven't opened it, have you?
Her voice was filled with horror. Daniel's smile faltered.
The basement door? No, it's locked up tight. I was just saying I'd get a crowbar.
Mrs. Gable gasped.
No, you mustn't. You must never, ever open that door.
Her eyes were wide with panic. Emily realized she wasn't just a strange old lady. She was genuinely afraid.
You don't understand. That's not a normal basement. That's a place for things that should be forgotten.
Mrs. Gable, I'm sure it's just a bit dusty down there.
You think this is a joke? The family before you, they didn't listen either. They had a little boy. He heard things at night. Tapping, scratching, whispers from the door. His parents didn't believe him. One night they found the door wide open. The boy was gone. They never saw him again. The police searched for weeks. Nothing. It was as if he vanished.
My mom covered her mouth, eyes wide. Even Dad stopped smiling. Leo peeked out, pale.
I'm telling you this because you have to know there are rules for that door.
Rules?
3 simple rules. First, never knock on the door, no matter what you hear. Second, never ever open it. I don't care if you think someone's trapped inside. And third, never listen to what the door says.
With that, she turned and shuffled off the porch, disappearing into the twilight.
Her warning echoed in my mind. The house suddenly felt much, much colder.
The cafeteria buzzed with the usual chatter and clatter of trays, but our table was an island of silence. All eyes were on me, waiting for my reaction.
The Blackwood house? Are you serious?
No one dared to go near that place. It loomed ominously at the end of Willow Lane, its windows like closed eyes, hiding secrets within.
The Blackwood house? Seriously, Liam, it's just an old dusty house. What's the big deal?
But my voice betrayed me, shaking with uncertainty. Everyone knew the stories, how Mr. Blackwood vanished one stormy night, and some whispered he never truly left. Liam grinned, his eyes daring me to back down. He knew I wouldn't. I couldn't.
Don't do it, Alex. That place is weird. It's not worth it.
She didn't need to elaborate. We'd all heard the rumors, strange lights flickering in the windows, eerie cries carried by the wind on moonless nights. Liam laughed, sharp and loud, cutting through the tension. My face burned with embarrassment and defiance. I couldn't let him win. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. Kids stared, their eyes wide with anticipation.
Fine, I'll do it. Midnight, the Blackwood house. You'll all see.
And Liam's eyes lit up with excitement, a challenge accepted. Maya hid her face, unable to watch the unfolding drama. The bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, but I barely registered it. The dare was set in stone. There was no backing out now. I had to knock on that door, face whatever lay inside. As I walked to class, a heavy dread settled in my stomach. This was more than a dare. It was a test of courage, a step into the unknown. The hours crawled by, every tick of the clock was a countdown to midnight. I tried to distract myself, but shadows seemed to leap out at me. When my parents went to bed, I slipped on dark clothes and crept downstairs. Every step creaked. The house felt alive, watching me. I slipped outside. The moon hid behind clouds. The world was silent. My street looked strange in the dark. Willow Lane was worse. Flickering lights, clawing trees. My footsteps echoed. The Blackwood house loomed, paint peeling, porch sagging. A rusted fence surrounded it. The wind whispered through dead leaves.
11:58.
My hand shook. I could turn back, but pride pushed me forward. I opened the gate and walked the overgrown path. The air was cold, heavy with decay. I felt unseen eyes watching from the windows, just a few feet from the door.
I stood on the porch, sneakers crunching on splintered wood.
The door was massive, with a gargoyle knocker. Its eyes stared through me.
My watch beeped. Midnight.
I raised my hand, hesitated, then knocked 3 times. The sound echoed, deep and hollow, like knocking on a coffin. I snatched my hand back. The dare was done. Time to run. I turned to leave, heart pounding. Then I heard it, a slow scraping sound from inside. Scrape, like something heavy dragged across the floor. I froze. It had to be my imagination. The scraping stopped. Silence.
Alex!
Not a question, a recognition. I bolted, sprinting down the path, not daring to look back. Lines removed, 25+ lines of internal monologue and repeated sound descriptions. Scene ends with Alex fleeing.
I burst through my back door, slamming it behind me, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. My hands shook as I fumbled with the lock, desperate to shut out whatever was chasing me, real or imagined. I leaned against the door, gasping for breath, my chest heaving as I tried to steady myself. The cold wood pressed into my back, grounding me in the moment, but my mind raced with fear and confusion.
The house was eerily quiet, every shadow stretching longer than it should, every corner seeming to hold its breath. The silence felt unnatural, as if the house itself was waiting for something to happen. I sat on my bed, forcing myself to take slow, deep breaths, trying to convince myself that it was all in my head, that nothing had really happened, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. As I closed my bedroom door, the familiar click echoed in the silence. Then, suddenly, I heard it, a faint, unmistakable echo of my own knock, as if someone or something was mimicking me from the other side. Thud, thud, thud. Each knock was slow, deliberate, and sent a jolt of fear through my body. It seemed to come from my own door. I froze, straining to listen, my breath caught in my throat. For a moment, there was nothing but silence, thick and heavy. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just the house settling. But as I crawled into bed, sleep refused to come. My mind replayed every sound, every shadow, over and over. Every tiny noise, a creak, a whisper of wind, made me jump. My nerves stretched thin. The image of the door lingered in my mind, haunting me. Then out of nowhere, my clock flickered, the numbers dissolving and snapping back as if time itself was stuttering. A chill crept down my spine, the air suddenly colder, my breath visible in the dim light. That's when the whispering started again. Many voices, layered and urgent, just out of reach, coming from the darkest corner of my room, where the shadows seemed to move on their own.
I dove under the covers, clutching them tightly, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I squeezed my eyes shut, wishing it all away. I told myself it was just the wind, that old houses make strange noises at night. But I couldn't quite believe it.
Deep down, beneath all my reassurances, I knew something was wrong. The feeling of being watched wouldn't leave me. Something had followed me home, something I couldn't see but could feel, lurking just out of sight. The house felt different now, as if it was no longer just mine. Shadows danced across the walls, and every creak seemed to carry a warning. Scene ends with the sense of a presence in the room, the air thick with anticipation, as if something unseen was waiting for me to let my guard down.
I woke up exhausted. Sunlight made everything seem normal, almost. In the bathroom mirror, I saw a pale boy with hollow eyes and a twisted grin. I blinked, and it was just me. I tried to shake it off, but the image stuck with me. At breakfast, I barely ate. How could I explain seeing a monster in the mirror? All day, strange things happened. Books slid off shelves, toys moved. The house felt colder, and the whispers returned, slithering from the vents.
Emily?
The worst was the reflections. I saw the pale boy in the TV, the faucet, the window, always watching, always grinning. I knew then this wasn't a dream. The thing from the Blackwood house was trying to get closer. Lines removed, 25+ lines of repetitive narration and minor incidents. Scene ends with Emily's growing fear. The whispers never stopped. They were everywhere, behind the TV, in the kitchen, under the normal sounds of home. I pressed my ear to the walls. It was like dozens of voices trapped inside, all trying to talk at once. Sometimes I almost heard a word, but it slipped away. The whispers grew louder, bolder, like they were learning to speak. One afternoon, the TV switched off by itself. Silence. Then a voice behind me.
Lost?
I spun around. No one there. The air was icy. Desperate, I grabbed my dad's voice recorder and recorded the whispers. On playback, I heard them, clearer than ever. I wasn't imagining it. Lines removed, 25+ lines of repetitive narration and minor details. Scene ends with proof of the whispers. I looked like a zombie at school. I had to tell someone. At recess, I pulled Maya aside and told her everything. The knock, the whispers, the reflection.
Alex, are you sure you weren't just dreaming?
No, I have proof. I played her the recording.
That's creepy.
She wasn't convinced, but she listened. Later, lining up after recess, Maya grabbed my arm.
Alex, look.
Through the library window, we saw a boy in my red hoodie, hunched over a book. But I was right there. Maya's face went pale. The boy turned. For a second, we saw the pale face, hollow eyes, and wide grin.
Lines removed, 25+ lines of repetitive narration and dialogue. Scene ends with both seeing the double.
After what Maya saw, she believed me. We walked home together, terrified. My house looked normal, but the silence pressed outwards. I dropped my key on the porch. Maya picked it up.
It's okay, Alex, we're together.
I put the key in. but the door swung open. It wasn't locked. My mum wasn't home. The house should have been locked. We stepped inside. The entryway was dark. Sunlight afraid to enter. A chill filled the hallway, smelling of dust and wet leaves, just like the Blackwood house. We called out. Silence. On the coffee table sat a single dead brown leaf from the Blackwood house. Lines removed, 25 plus lines of repetitive narration and minor details. Scene ends with the ominous sign. The leaf was proof. It shouldn't have been there, not in the middle of my living room, not after we'd locked every door and window. Its edges curled, brittle and brown, a silent message from something that didn't belong. The thing from the Blackwood house had been inside. Somehow, it had crossed the threshold, bringing the chill of that haunted place with it. The air felt heavier, thick with dread, and the scent of old wood and earth. The whispers swirled around us, louder than ever, echoing off the walls, filling every shadow. They weren't just sounds anymore. They pressed against our minds, urgent and insistent.
Home, home, now! The word twisted as if the house itself was calling, or something inside it was demanding to be let in.
Upstairs, a scraping sound, the same as before, only closer, more deliberate. It dragged along the floorboards, pausing, then starting again, as if searching for us. It was in my house. The realization hit like ice water. This wasn't a story anymore. It was real, and it was here.
What was that? My voice barely a whisper, trembling with fear.
I couldn't answer. The scraping stopped, leaving a silence so deep it rang in my ears. Then, a bedroom door creaked open. My door. The sound was slow, deliberate, as if whatever was on the other side wanted us to hear it coming. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, came down the hallway, then the stairs. Each step was measured, echoing through the house, drawing closer. The whispers grew into a chorus, almost words, almost voices I recognized, but twisted and wrong.
Home, home, now! The chant grew desperate, as if pleading or warning, but we couldn't move.
We had to run, but we were frozen. Fear pinned us in place, our bodies refusing to obey. The footsteps reached the bottom. The air felt colder, the darkness deeper. I knew what we'd see. The boy from the mirror, the library, the thing that wore my face. Its eyes were empty, but it watched us all the same. I had knocked on its door, and now it had come through mine. The boundary between our worlds was gone. The dare was over, but this was just the beginning. Whatever we'd awakened wasn't finished with us. I didn't know how to make it leave. I didn't even know if it could be sent back. The story wasn't over. It was just getting started. The house felt alive, watching, waiting for what would happen next. Lines removed, 25 plus lines of repetitive narration and internal monologue. Scene ends with the threat inside the house. The real nightmare had only just begun. The old house creaked and groaned around me. Tonight the sounds were different, deeper, like the house was sighing in its sleep. I didn't know why I was awake. My eyes were open, but my mind was fuzzy, full of cotton. My feet moved on their own, padding softly on the cold wooden floorboards. My legs carried me down the long, dark hallway, moonlight painting strange, dancing shadows on the walls. My destination, the basement door at the end of the hall. We never went down there. A cold, watchful feeling always seeped from that door. As I got closer, I saw something strange, a thick black mist seeping from under the basement door. I should have been scared, but my feet kept moving until my toes touched the inky black fog.
Sometimes the places we fear most call to us in ways we can't explain.
I stood frozen, staring at the black mist churning on the floorboards. The air grew so cold I could see my breath. The doorknob glinted in the moonlight, sinister. My hand trembled as I reached for it, but I couldn't touch it. Something held me back. That's when I heard it, a whisper, not normal, coming from the other side of the door. The slithering, hissing sound filled the hallway, everywhere at once. It knew my name. Dread washed over me, mixed with a strange curiosity. The whispering grew louder, more persuasive. Join us. Everything you want is down here." The words were backward, but I understood. The voice promised secret games, hidden treasures, fun. I was tempted. The mist pulsed in time with the hissing words, looking inviting now. My hand, steady, reached for the cold brass doorknob. The backward whispers grew urgent.
When shadows speak, their promises are hard to resist, especially when they know exactly what you long to hear.
My fingers wrapped around the doorknob, colder than ice, burning my skin. The backward whispering became a chorus. The promise echoed in my head, drowning out everything else. I turned the knob, click. The latch released, loud in the silence. The door swung inward with a wet, sucking sound. A wave of foul air rushed out. Damp earth, rotting leaves, something sweet and sickly. The black mist surged forward, wrapping around my legs like shadowy tentacles. It felt solid, strong. I tried to pull away but couldn't. A force yanked me forward, an invisible current, a terrifying vacuum. My legs lifted off the floor, dragged over the threshold. The moonlight vanished, swallowed by suffocating darkness. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. I was falling or flying through a pitch-black void. The backward whispers were gone, replaced by a deep, rumbling groan. Something ancient and enormous was waking up. The darkness pressed in on me from all sides.
In the grip of the unknown, even the bravest hearts can falter.
My fall ended on something soft and damp, squishing beneath me. The air was thick, the smell unbearable. I pushed myself up but couldn't see. Total darkness. Panic bubbled up. I called out, but my voice was swallowed by silence. Then a faint, sickly green light began to glow from the walls. Shapes appeared, dozens of children huddled, faces streaked with glowing tears, eyes wide with terror. They didn't move, just stared, mouths open in silent screams. I scrambled backward. They were statues of sadness, frozen in fear. The green light pulsed, revealing more details. Old-fashioned clothes, sailor suits, lace collars. How long had they been here? High above, suspended in the green-tinged darkness, was another figure, a girl trapped in a shimmering bubble. Her fists beat against the inside, face twisted in horror. Her hair was long and brown, just like mine. She wore pink pajamas with little white clouds. My pajamas. I was looking at myself.
In this world of nightmares, reflections are never quite what they seem.
I stared at my own terrified face in the bubble, a warning of what was to come. I had to escape. I pushed to my feet, legs shaking. The floor tried to suck my shoes off. I searched for the door, but there was only a solid, curving wall. The green light pulsed. I reached out, snatched my hand back. The wall was warm, soft like skin, mottled pink and red, covered in pulsing veins. It was flesh. The entire room, walls, ceiling, floor, was living, breathing flesh. I was inside a creature. The crying children, the vision of myself, we were all just food, things to be digested. The sweet, rotting smell was decay. The pulsing light was its monstrous heart. I was trapped in the belly of the beast. The walls pressed in, air thickened, the green light quickened. A deep groaning echoed. The children weren't statues. They were the ones who came before me, swallowed whole, trapped forever. Soon, I would join them. Terror took over. I ran, feet sinking into the fleshy floor. I passed the frozen children, their faces blurring by. The groaning grew louder, the walls closed in. I looked back. There was no door, just an archway lined with long, sharp, glistening points. They weren't a door frame, they were teeth. The door was a mouth, a gaping maw that lured me in and swallowed me whole. The truth broke the spell. A scream tore from my throat. No, it's a mouth! The door is a mouth! I clawed at the walls, nails digging into flesh, useless. I was trapped, about to be digested. The vision of myself in the bubble flickered, my own eyes wide with terror. The mouth was closing, teeth grinding shut. The last sliver of the hallway was disappearing. My scream turned into a desperate plea. Help me! Somebody help me! I threw myself toward the closing gap, towards the last piece of my world, knowing it was already too late.
Just as the gap was about to seal, a hand shot through, Daniel's hand.
Emily!
His grip was strong, the creature's force immense, pulling me back as Daniel pulled me out.
Hold on, Emily, I've got you.
My arms stretched, shoulders screaming. I kicked and fought, the ground slippery. The teeth ground closer, threatening to snap shut. With a final heave, Daniel yanked me free. I tumbled onto the cold hallway floor, gasping for clean air. The basement door slammed shut with a thunderclap. I scrambled back, heart pounding. I was out, I was safe.
Emily, what happened? What was that?
I couldn't answer. I just lay there, shaking and sobbing. The nightmare burned into my mind.
Daniel helped me to my room. I couldn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling, terrified to close my eyes. The next morning, Daniel was already in the hallway. The basement door was gone, just a smooth, uninterrupted wall, as if it had never been there. The days that followed were strange. No one else noticed the door was gone.
What basement door, sweetie? We don't have a basement.
Daniel just shook his head, a silent warning. He remembered, but he wasn't talking. It was our secret now, a terrifying secret between us. I stopped asking, but I couldn't stop thinking. Something inside me had changed. Food tasted like ash. Cartoons were pointless. At school, I stared out the window, haunted by the faces of the crying children. I had trouble sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the pulsing green light and the rows of teeth. My reflection looked like a stranger, dark circles, pale skin. Sometimes, when I looked into my own eyes, I felt like someone else was looking back. A coldness lived inside me now, a piece of that other place. I became quiet, withdrawn, wanting only to sit in my room. But I was never really safe. I knew that thing was still out there. One night, I woke up, heart pounding, a watchful feeling in the air. I glanced at the clock, 3:32 a.m. The numbers flickered, then changed to 3:33. At that moment, a strange sensation twisted behind my left eye, like a key turning in a lock. The feeling behind my eye intensified, wrong, shifting, rearranging inside my head. I squeezed my eyes shut, hands to my face, too scared to scream. The sensation stopped. Everything was still. I lowered my hands, took a shaky breath, and opened my eyes. My room looked the same. Moonlight, posters, dolls. Maybe I imagined it, but I had to be sure. I crept to the mirror, my reflection pale in the moonlight. I leaned closer, peering at my left eye. At first, nothing. Then I saw it. My pupil was no longer round. It was the shape of an old-fashioned keyhole, small, black, unmistakable. A scream caught in my throat. I stared, mesmerized and horrified. A keyhole, a lock. Doors have locks. Locks have keys. The whispers echoed in my memory. Edisni amok, come inside. I had knocked on their door by walking toward it, and now it seemed something had answered.